Our next speaker is Carol Larson, who is the co-owner of Rhode Island Spirits in Pawtucket. Is a small business owner, and we'd love you to share your perspective, Kara.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me on, Representative and Senator particularly. My wife and I own and operate a distillery, a small business in downtown Pawtucket. And when Representative Alzate reached out to us about whether we would be willing to speak on behalf of this legislation, I enthusiastically said yes. And part of it is because I'm a little bit tired of it will hurt small businesses being used to object to any sort of progressive legislation. As a small business owner, I can tell you the day that I earn more than $475,000 in any calendar year, I will be delighted to pay a little bit extra to help my state and my community flourish. The tax money that would be raised by this is an important way to keep our state stable and whole and moving strongly into the future. All the things that government supports that touch people directly are going to get cut if we can't raise more money because everything is more expensive as we deal with COVID and all the other things that were already challenging us before that. And to address the small business argument directly, I know that, if you are the owner of a small business that files its taxes as a C Corp or an S Corp, you get paid. Your small business really isn't going to be considered in this at all. What a lot of people are thinking about when they equate small businesses and tax for individuals is partnerships or sole proprietors of limited liability companies. And again, you would have to, as an owner of one of those kinds of businesses, have to make more than $475,000 at the end of the year in taxable revenue in your company, which means after you've paid all the salaries, after you've paid all the expenses, after you've worked with your accountants to make investments in your company's future, you would still have to have more than $475,000 in retained earnings, which are yours, because those kinds of businesses pass through that revenue directly to the individual. So it's not a small business's money, it is that individual owner or partner's money. If they choose to reinvest it into the business, it will be sheltered from tax because it will not be there at the bottom line as retained earnings. So if people really want to, if they have that kind of money flowing through their businesses and they want to support their community directly, they can hire more people, they can invest in expanding the business, they can do all sorts of things that will shelter that money, but they won't have it for their personal expenses. If they want to have it for their personal bottom line, then a little extra tax on every dollar above $475,000 seems to me to be a very fair way to contribute to the community. So I hope that was useful. Thank you again for having me on.
I think that was very helpful, and I think it takes away some of the arguments that people have when they don't have a full understanding of how the small businesses work. So that was terrific. At this time, I'm going to turn it back to Rachel, who will be recognizing some of the other reps and senators that have joined us here today and be available to take questions from the press. Rachel?
Great. Thank you, George. So hopefully everyone can see the elected officials who've joined us today. In addition to Senator Murray and Rep. Alzate, we are also joined today by Senators Anderson, Cano, DeMario, Valverde, Representative Potter, and we understand there are a number of other reps and senators who are watching on Facebook Live that we can't see, so we can't acknowledge you by name, but thank you for joining us.